Akashic Records. Access your past, present, and future with the Book of Life. Read the archive of your soul, explore your past lives, and heal your spirit. By Jenna McGill. Introduction. What if I told you that there was an answer to all your questions about your life, your past, your future, and your now? The answers are in the Akashic Records. I'm about to share with you what I have discovered about the Akashic Records through my years of study and spiritual practice. Most of what I'm about to share is my personal observation or what I have learned from others. I love sharing my story with you, and the thought that I can touch others with this book warms my heart. If you are just discovering the Akashic Records, have an open mind. As with any spiritual practice, you are on a path, and this book has come right at the exact time that you need to read it. There may be one nugget that you pick up, or you may have a few aha moments. Take what you need. You'll learn how to use the records for reflection and understanding your life, where you are right now. And as you grow in your spiritual practice, be sure to come back here and pick up more wisdom about the Akashic Records in the Library of Life. What are the Akashic Records? The Akashic Records are a divinely protected blessing given to us, filled with the wisdom, energy, and experiences of every soul's future, current, and past life. They outline our soul's journey, including our progress and the other beings we have encountered along the way. They are our record of life, what we have been, are, and will be. One part of the records is static. It is sometimes called the blueprint of your soul. This is our essence, who we are. The details of who you are in every lifetime, from beginning to end. The other part of the record details your journey. This part is active and projects not just from the past, but also notes possible futures as well. These are the experiences, the record of your path, the story of your life. The records offer us a chance to connect ourselves with the divine and improve ourselves spiritually. This switches us from beings who are deluded into thinking that we are independent into ones strong enough to accept help from their fellow beings and guides. The Akashic Records exist for each one of us. Each one of us has a book in the Library of Life. They exist in a place of reverence, a place of great spiritual energy. The only thing you must do to gain access to these records is open yourself up spiritually and regard yourself with love. It is only when you accept yourself that you can begin to access your own records and discover the wisdom and knowledge to help you in this life. The Library of Life that holds all of the Akashic Records will look different for each person. The energy of the library can take on many forms. For some, it may seem as if you are visualizing walking into a library, with bookshelves full of the different records. For others, it may just be an essence of energy and words being heard that are in your book. You may or may not experience your records as a book. Your personal view of your book is the right one for you and can change over time. Your record is your book of life. They are the map of your soul. Your access is gained through your mind's view into your soul. History of the Akashic Records. While references of the records have existed for millennia, the current name Akashic came into popular use in the 1800s. The word was taken by a Buddhist practitioner trying to describe the permanent tablets of light that stored the records. Alfred Percy Sennett chose the word Akasha from Sanskrit, a word that means sky and space. It is classically understood as another culture's name for either or the element that connects the physical ones. C.W. Leadbeater later changed the use of the word, adapting an adjective form to help people describe the records to other theosophists. Writers from all cultures and times in history have written about the Akashic Records. The most direct descriptions begin in the 1800s, when humans compiled spiritual knowledge and began to more accurately be able to translate them to the written word. Early writers, like Alice A. Bailey, attempted to explain their experiences described in the records as like an immense photographic film, registering all the desires and earth experiences of our planet. Even earlier methods of the records are found in the Hebrew Bible. Here, they are traditional, described as both the Book of Life and the Book of God's Remembrance. The books are referenced heavily in Psalms, such as, "You keep count of my wanderings, put my tears into your flask, into your record." Psalms, chapter 56, verses 8 and 9. Then said I, Behold, I come, In the volume of the book it is written of me, I delight to do your will, O my God, yes, your law is within my heart. Psalms, chapter 40, verses 7 and 8, you had scrutinized my every action, all were recorded in your book, my days listed and determined, even before the first of them occurred. Psalms, chapter 139, verse 16. Later details of the Akashic records in the New Testament mention that the records are open to us as well. The best known example is, and Jesus opened up to the disciples the meaning of the hidden way, and the holy breath, and of the light that cannot fail. The Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ, chapter 158, verses 3 and 4. What do the Akashic records tell us about our lives? Sometimes, people talk about the records as if they were a literal book, some sort of cosmic encyclopedia that record where you were and what you did. That's kind of underselling it. The records can be thought of as an energy log of our physical, mental, and spiritual energy. They will not just tell you where you went 3 years ago on Sunday, but rather what you were feeling, who you were with, and what you were thinking on that Sunday. It is like having a perfect memory of your entire life, a full recording, able to recall every little issue or spurt of progress you've made. The records record this energy not only for your current life. The records also hold this for your soul's past lives. From the inception of your soul, to this current place in time, and into the future. It should be noted that souls can have various ages. Some are rather new, only having gone through a few physical bodies. Others have taken part in most of human history and have an extensive human history. Neither newness nor age is better than the other. You were started at the appropriate time by the universe to walk down a specific path. It doesn't matter if someone else is jogging, you might be destined to walk. Everyone works at their own perfect pace when connected to the divine. When you access the Akashic records, you may have hundreds of years of lives to go through, or you may only have 1 or 2. Each soul begins and ends their journey at the correct time, so just enjoy the ride. It is the right ride for you. Now, in addition to our past lives, the Akashic records give us a chance to see possible paths we can, or will, take in the future. You can get a glimpse of your future by reflection of the past, as we like to walk the same path again and again until we have found its meaning. Or you can access your future through your personal book, giving you access to glimpses of the various potential future. It is not a science, of course. Sometimes, you are shown the future to avoid it, as a warning to change your path. Or sometimes, it is shown to help you move forward, as a sort of divine inspiration or sign. Remember that the records are not some sort of fortune-telling machine. You will not be able to ask it specific questions like, when am I going to have my first child? And get an exact time and date back. Now, you might be wondering why the records even show you the potential future at all if they aren't going to give you the exact truth. Remember that like all spiritual beings, we have free will. We can't defy the rules of the universe, but we are able to choose the way we walk through it. Often, you are shown the potential future when you feel disempowered to change it. It is a subtle remembrance that you walk your own path. And you have the power to change the path you are on. Rules and guidelines for the library. Hopefully, every single reader has been to a physical library. All libraries or record halls have some rules attached to them. Physical libraries usually have rules about when they are open and how many books you can check out at a time. The Akashic records have rules of their own, but it is not quite as simple as saying, hours of operation. For example, there is no card needed to access information. The Akashic records are always open, always around you. They never lag behind time as they are ever recording, a perfect and complete record of each soul's thoughts, words, and actions. There are no accidents, no two records will ever get mixed up. The library does not have librarians, but here are helpers and guides to assist those accessing their records. As experienced helpers can assist, the records of your soul are tied to the true name of your life. Your true name is not just the letters that they are spelled by, but also how you say them. Make sure that if you find a helper, they hear and remember how you speak your name. Otherwise, they will have trouble connecting to your records. Your records contain everything from your current and past lives. It will tell you about the blueprint of your soul, giving you a chance to glimpse at possible paths you may walk down in your future. Oftentimes, you are shown potential choice points for your future. The records are not written in any language of man, rather, it is recorded in pure energy. This brings us to a critical rule of the records: no one can access your records without your permission. They are a divine gift to your soul and nothing can ever take them away from you. They are for you alone. Likewise, you are not able to access anyone else's record. Opening your own record for many, starting to try to access your record can be confusing. Accessing the records for the first time can be a hard journey for some. It is a spiritual journey, one our dualistic minds must learn to adapt to. However, for those struggling, there are aids available. Many cultures have left tools and guides to help access the records. Some popular physical examples can be reading runs, tarot cards, crystals, or using other spiritual guidance tools. Tools passed down from one generation to another can be charged with potent spiritual energy that offers us a sort of jump start into accessing our own record. Other times, the mere possession of such instruments causes us to try and link our energies to them. Through this, we learn to manipulate our spiritual energy and ultimately, access the Akashic records. Over time, you will find that these tools become less needed, but they are a great place to start. Many cultures have also passed down non-psychical aid as well. These instructions teach the use of voice, thought, or body, to connect with the soul. By reassuring us what to do with our physical body, these aids can allow us to begin work with our spiritual energy. There are various methods of meditations and various rituals that can be used to help access the library. If you already have a connection to some such tool or physical instruction, this is the perfect one for you. If you already practice meditation, prayer, or yoga, it may be easier to learn to access your record. I, myself, am very partial to tarot cards after being exposed to them in my childhood, but I do not consider them superior to others' choices to use meditation or runs to help with their spiritual life. When I found tarot cards, I felt an instant spark of spiritual energy, and my choice of my first deck is something that brought me great happiness. I've explored with many different types of decks, and use these daily to gauge my day and reflect on my experiences. However, they do not work for everyone. You will need to find the best aid or tool for yourself. If you are not sure where to look for a spiritual aid, look around your local city for a metaphysical bookstore. If you cannot find one, then a herb or health food store should offer items you may find useful. Oftentimes, these shops will have a small section dedicated to the spiritual practices. There, you can hold and wait to be touched by objects that have been placed there to help you find a connection with the universe. Perhaps you are drawn to a particular crystal. Or a book, yes, physical books count, too, that grabs your eye will lead you on a path to a practice that is right for you. You may also want to seek out a guide, teacher, or mentor. Be cautious and remember now that you are dealing with human beings. Try to find someone that you connect with and who understands what you are seeking. Someone that you find a connection to. There are many people that are experienced in metaphysics, and understand the records. Try physical classes, like meditation or tarot reading classes. A guide can help you understand how to access your records and offer suggestions on understanding experiences you may have as you explore the library. By getting guidance, you can get your questions answered and have greater access to explore that you may not find with just working by yourself. Finally, do not rule out that you may intuitively know the way in your heart. There are only two things that keep us from accessing the records: attachment to the physical world and/or spiritual resistance. It is not unheard of for people to access the records when our physical bodies are asleep and we are connected to ourselves via dreaming. There are various states of dreaming, and you may be able to access your records while in a dream state. In this book, I've outlined an example of how I access the records. As you read through it, take note of what resonates with you. Begin there with an open mind. See if you connect, or it gives you a spark that inspires you to find your way to get to your own record. Just by reading this book, you are being led to a path to access your records in the way and time that is right for you, right now. Reflect, and you'll soon discover your own method of connection. Usually, the records are accessed through some state of meditation, regardless of your tool or aid being used. Each person can use this meditative state to come to the library, enter its doors, and explore the rooms of the library. Everyone's book looks different. Each book has a different thickness and size. There, you will find a book sitting on a table. Your book will be waiting for you. This is your book. This is the book you open to gain access to your book of life. You need to have an open, trusting heart, and the willingness to explore and receive the gift that the universe has made for you. My personal connection to my record, connecting to my records, is very healing and spiritual for me. It has been an exploration that has changed over time, as I grow spiritually. How I access the library and view my book has gotten clearer and easier. After years of practice, I can visit the library and know right where to go to see my book. I know what the building looks like, the hallways and the room that holds my book, the bookshelves, the table, my book. I can clearly see it in my mind. I even have people there I look forward to seeing, and I smile when I think about the library at any time. Reading about my journey of exploring my records may help you understand better the process of getting to a place of accessing your own records. But remember, everyone's journey and understanding of the library is unique and special to them. I hope my story will inspire you to create your own path and journey to the library, and serve as a guide on how to find your own book. I usually want to visit my records when I am seeking guidance or need to have an answer to some current struggle I may be having. If I am feeling not quite myself, I may use a tool to assist me so I can use its energy for support, such as my tarot cards. On very bad days, I might draw a card and meditate on it. On better days, my deck might be next to me. On my best days, I acknowledge its energy from afar before I begin to work on myself. I sit down in my favorite chair, adopting the pose of half lotus, as it allows me to sit unconcerned about my physical body for the longest time. I straighten my posture until I feel a tug from just below my belly button, where my energy is born. I work on getting into a state of meditation and relaxation. Closing my eyes, I scan my chakras and go through each to balance my energy. I try to follow that energy back down my spine and into the spot 2 inches below the navel. I ground myself by visualizing an elastic cord coming from the base of my spine, and going down through the earth, to the very center of the globe. I tighten this cord and place myself firmly to the earth's energy. I mentally go through my body, relaxing every muscle and disconnecting my mind from each part of my body. I calm my mind through visualizing a circle of light, and that is the only thing in my thoughts for a while. I think of its swirling nature, always moving yet never unchanged. Eventually, details come to mind about the borders and a feeling of color as I move further away from my physical energy, towards my spiritual center. Getting to this state of meditation takes some practice, but once you have a process, it is quite easy to enter into this meditative place of energy. Somewhere along the way, my body loosens and my breathing becomes long and shallow. I can still feel my physical body, but it has become as if I am submerged in a sea of energy within myself. In my meditative state, I begin to visualize my journey to the library. For me, every time I meditate, I imagine a special place overfilled with my energy. It is the place my soul lives, breathes, and rests, and has been there throughout all time. My special place is a shallow cave on a mountainside with a stream right below a ledge outside the cave. This cave is filled with positive, loving energy. Even though it has walls of bare earth, it is comfortable. There are an abundance of plush purple pillows, and tapestries on the walls. Usually, when I am there, I am sitting on the ledge outside the cave with my feet dangling in the water. The visualization of this place is very comforting to me. I can feel the water, hear the birds sing, and smell the clean air. It is my special place that will always be there for me, always has been, and will be my place for eternity. Sometimes when I am there, I can invite my spirit guides to join me. The last time I went to my cave, my cat that had just passed away the month prior was there waiting for me. I was overcome with awe and happiness to see my cat, and I burst out crying, realizing the powerful and loving energy that place has for me. When I want to go to the Akashic library, I visualize jumping into the stream. I swim down through the water until I come out into an underground cave. I let myself out of the water, and there, waiting of me, is the door to the library. It is a white wooden door embedded in the rocks of the cavern I am in. I enter the door and start to explore. Each time I enter into the journey, the library has new things for me to see. It is not always the same, yet it always feels very familiar. I walk around the library until I come to the room with my book. Usually, as I look into a room, I see a book on a table, open. I observe how the book looks. I take notice of where it is open, as this will provide the answer I am seeking at that particular visit. As I am engulfed by the energy of the room, I move from a state of consciousness of self and ordinariness to a state of the consciousness of the universe. This state of oneness with the higher power lets me begin to feel the impressions and vibrations coming from my book. I tap into my universal self-awareness. The vibrations are from the source of light, and through these vibrations, I receive the knowledge that I need at that time. I feel almost like picking up the frequencies from a radio wave. I am the antennae, picking up the information I need, and my mind is the screen interpreting what I see. While I am there, I always have 3 of my spirit guides there for me, my dad, and my 2 grandmothers. I am always in awe of their love and dedication to me. I know they are always around me, but here I actually get to visit with them. Remember that this is my experience. They may seem weird or unusual, but this is where my practice has led me, and the library and my book are the way they need to be presented to me right now in my life. You will have your own way that you will need to discover, and that will be the right practice for you. Don't think there is a right or wrong way. I see things through my past experiences and my views from past conditioning. You will have your own individual journey and perception about the records. There is no right way, there is only your way. Remember that these records are your divine right, your own consciousness, and your own unique frequencies and vibrations. They are your own connection to the divine and oneness of the universe. And the most wonderful thing is, you don't have to do this alone. There is help for you on your journey to the library. Meeting others in the library. As you are exploring the library, you may sense or see others there. This is normal. There are 3 types of beings you can meet in the library: a helper, a guide, or another soul. The last one must begin with you. The records are very private, and you will not simply stumble into another soul unless you begin the path to it together, and there is a reason. You are always safe in the library. A helper, or more frequently called a mentor or teacher, begins with us in the material world. They can help us in many different ways, but the most common is simply aiding us in getting to the records. Those unable to bring themselves to the records via tools or by reading about the paths others have taken can greatly benefit from a helper. Oftentimes, the correct door is only inches away from us, and we are just stuck in our ego mind and can't find a way to get there. Or perhaps we have a fear that is holding us back. Helpers can give us a gentle push or hold our hand to aid us into starting down our correct path. Likewise, once we can connect with them and invite them to help us view our records, helpers can be amazingly wonderful at shifting through the records, helping us understand what is there for us and what we need to see at that particular time. They are often able to help us find sources of pain that we have been clinging on to by acting as neutral observers while we look, or help us interpret the vibrations for our book. They can answer questions and help you understand what you are seeking. There are many wonderful helpers around the world. Some work commercially and spend their lives acting as professional guides to others, whether they do so in print or in person. They are the easiest to find and begin a relationship with, as they have the experience needed to help. But many times, helpers can also be a friend or someone further down their spiritual path. There's no shame in asking for the aid of a helper. Some souls are more social by nature, others more reserved. Remember also that a helper does not need to walk you down the path directly. Sometimes, their role might be limited to just telling you the path exists and to show you how to get there. Or they may just be needed to help you interpret what you experienced when you visited your records. A guide is another part of the divine that has been tasked with aiding souls. Many cultures have different takes on what exactly a guide is and what it looks like. They may be called spirit guides or angels. In general, it is widely agreed on that most guides do not engage in the physical, material realm, although many have been known to visit our mental states in the more lucid dreams or meditations. As someone who spent most of her life exploring the metaphysics, I am well connected to my spirit guides. They are there every time I come to the Akashic Library to see my book. Sometimes, they sit on the sidelines. Sometimes, they help me understand what I am seeking. One of my guides is one of my grandmother who collected owls. In fact, she even looked like an owl. Several years ago, I got a tattoo of an owl on my back. Now, my spirit guide appears to me as that owl in animation. It always brings a smile to my face when I see her. Guides may come to you or you may seek them out. A common method to find your guide is through meditation or with the guidance of a helper. Eventually, some vision will come to mind, a color, a feeling, a place, or perhaps an object. Over time, as you focus on that thing, more details will appear. In our physical state, we seem to have a natural need to cloak the energy of a guide in a form, either a human or an animal, and likely someone that you knew in this life that has already passed. Some might attach only a color or vague form, like smoke or haze. When searching for your guide, many images may come to mind before you find one. When you do, there will be energy to this particular thing. For me, an amazing amount of curiosity and love for something that occurred in just a few seconds. Don't worry if you feel many things or that your guide changes. It is common for guides to come and go throughout our lives. Our spirit guides help us in a variety of ways in our quest to see our book. Some may exist to help us transition over to the records, while others will take the journey with you and accompany you to the library and guide you to your book. Most guides will help you shift through your personal Akashic records. Like a good teacher, they can help you find a section or understand what you saw. Mine seemed to have a fun purpose in giving me a page to look at and letting me sort it out. Remember always that if a guide comes to you, you are safe. Your guides are there for your purpose only. Learn to accept their guidance, for they know and understand how to guide you on your life quest. They are there for you. There are also other types of guides in regards to the Akashic records. First, there are the light beings that guard, govern, and protect the records. They are called the Lords of the Records. They guard the safety of the library and the integrity of the books. They let in the visitors, deciding who can have access and what information is given out from the library. There are also the Masters of the Records, who work with the light beings as a connection between the records and the seekers of knowledge. The light beings and the masters are non-physical beings, and you will never see them in the library, but you may have a sense of the energy that they produce. Because of these guards, no one can invade your records, change them, or read them. You are also guarded on your adventure of traveling to the records. Nothing bad can follow you back or harm you. You are safe. Know and trust that the energy of the beings protects you. Finally, the last entity you can find in the record would be another soul that is reaching out to you. As I mentioned above, I always feel a great sea of energy when I connect spiritually, and the openness of spirit and consciousness can bring interesting experiences. These are other souls connecting and searching themselves. But like ships in the night, you will never meet nor disrupt each other's journey. We may only sense each other. If you wish to bring someone with you to the records, always begin physically connected. Many traditions suggest holding hands or linking arms. I will caution you that the time it takes to access the Akashic records varies per individual. You must remain linked the entire time, or you may be separated. Also, one person might not be able to cross over to the records that day due to added pressure. This type of journey would require experience from at least one that has accessed the records and who can be a strong guide and mentor. No matter who you meet while at the library, know that there is a purpose and reason you have crossed paths. You may be surprises, but there is a reason and no harm will happen. Your needs are all that matter as you are on your journey. Others just are a way to help you on that journey. Exploring your past lives. We must begin this section with the understanding that working with the Akashic records does require a belief in past lives and reincarnation. We are viewing the records as a journal of your soul's entire journey over many lifetimes from your past and also into your future. A great opportunity of exploring the records is helping to us connect to our past lives and other souls we are, and have been, connected to. By exploring our past lives, karma and lessons that we have experienced and how they relate to our present life come to light. The potential futures we see through the Akashic records are things we can chase and aspire to be, and adjust to change if need be. Their energy, by its own nature, is higher in vibration, something our own spiritual beings understand to be fragile in nature. Looking into the past can be a wonderful enlightenment about our current lives and may help us understand relationships, struggles, and lessons we are currently working on. The pages of the records filled with our past are heavy by nature. They are still, solid, and it is here that the advice and support of our guides and helpers is most needed. Learning about our past lives is one reason many seek to go to the library. Understanding more about the journey our soul is on can bring comfort and help ease pain and frustration. As we discover what we experienced in past lives, we must not become prideful of our past lifetimes or ashamed. The records simply let us learn from them. And we are only shown what we are meant to see, to help us at the place we are now in our lives. Souls tend to travel in the same circles through their many incarnations. The most widely accepted notion of this idea is, of course, soulmates. Each time we are united with another soul we have known in a past life, our energies become quicker to remember each other. Remember, however, that when looking back into past lives, the absence or presence of a soulmate does not guarantee you either in this life. Souls do not always inhabit bodies with the same mortal frames. It may be many reincarnations until you meet again, or it may be every single lifetime. We all have had the experience of having an instant connection to a new person we have met, like we have known them forever. Well, maybe you have. Although a soulmate is truly a great blessing to find in this life, you can look forward to meeting many other souls again and again. Sometimes, they are maternal or fraternal in nature, others are true friends that travel alongside us in our adventures. We have all experienced meeting someone that we knew instantly would be a great friend or mentor or lover. We sense a bond and feel like we just know them. It is comforting to know there are these souls that we have been connected to over many lifetimes, and we can get excited to spend more time with them in this life. When we access our Akashic records, some of the easiest energies to identify are that of familiar souls. Because they exist around you today, you should be able to feel the similarities in your past lives. Take time to cherish experiencing the many meetings between you and these friendly souls. Note common struggles that caused distances, and positive interactions that brought you closer together. Remember, of course, that without the other's permission, you will only be able to see of them for what your past life saw, not what their perspective or karma is in relation to you. But you don't have to look in your past only for other souls. It can be rewarding and interesting to explore lessons we learned in the past, joys we experienced, and lessons we should have learned and still need to work on. Perhaps these are connected exactly to the struggles or questions that you are currently seeking answers to in your life. Take a look at your older lives and observe the number of past lives shown to you. We can see the old wounds that never healed and still carry around. We can also seek comfort in joys that we have experienced. Sometimes, it is fair to take inspiration from your old growth to kickstart a new moment of momentum or give new insight to make you happier in your present life. Learning to look at your records will help you understand your life as it is, right now. Your past has brought you here, karma and all. Another note on karma in general, I am a big fan of karma, until we get into the popular definition. Most people think of karma as some sort of cosmic balance book that carries the balance over from one life to another. If you are a good person, you get to come back as something awesome, like a millionaire or guru. If you are a bad person, you get dropped on the low end of the totem pole, often considered to be something like a dung beetle. Let's think about that last example for a moment. Now, I have never been to Africa, but I do like bugs. I've met many of them in my garden and they don't seem to be rather morose. I've never, for example, heard an earthworm crying out in pain because it eats dirt and is miserable. In fact, most bugs seem to be quite content with their lives. If that is supposed to be a punishment, that would imply the divine is pretty bad at keeping score. Being a bug is not necessarily a bad thing. Likewise, it is common when karma comes into position to view a baby being born into a wealthy family as a sign that they did well in the last life. We can guess how that view evolved. We view richer people as if they are doing better in life. Their efforts are often given great reward and they quickly gain even more material trappings than the poor. Of course, if this view was true, shouldn't we then assume the rich would be happy and more enlightened? And those that are less fortunate in this life, shouldn't we laugh at them and encourage their suffering, so that they can pay back their weird cosmic debt? It is not so simple. In general, karma is a great thing to think about relative to your own current life. Physical beings are going to react in kind to your choices. Akashic records can be used to help you look at your current life and gain perspective and realize when you need to rethink how you are acting and make adjustments. The universe has given us the records to help us heal and grow our lives. Karma helps us understand the responsibility of our actions, and it helps us be accountable for our deeds. What goes around comes around is a popular saying. We simply carry the consequences of our deeds in this life onto future ones. Now, with that in mind, it is time to talk about healing. Healing with the Akashic records at the root of our problems, struggles, and hardships, both physical and mental, are some spiritual wounds. Think about your own health. There might be a wound that seems reluctant to heal, or perhaps some sort of block or wall that we cannot seem to surmount, and it keeps us from feeling whole. It may manifest as physical conditions or diseases in our body. Oftentimes, these injuries can occur in our childhood when we are not able to fully form memories in our physical brains. Other times, we might even block ourselves from the memories. Release of these emotional memories can lead to a rapid recovery of your health. But in our normal lives, without help, we might not be able to understand what is causing this emotional pain. Sometimes, issues from past lives are so great that we choose to bring them over with us into our new lives. Yes, you read that right, we aren't being punished by the universe, we are punishing ourselves. But the Akashic records offer us a chance to look at ourselves and clear ourselves from these unwanted emotional plagues on our soul. Remember that the records show us an emotional map of our lifetimes from an objective view. From this view, you can begin to see tightly held negative thoughts and patterns that have been plaguing you. Eventually, when you release all of this negative energy, you can begin to refocus on your soul and the pain will leave, and growth and healing will begin. We can rise above and through our struggles, learn our lessons, and create good karma moving forward. Take heart that those who reach the records are souls ready to accept the truth and begin to heal. We are only shown what we need to see at that point in time. But the truth can be a hard path to walk. Sometimes, our pain is caused by a wound locked deep in our cellular memories, far back in the lineage of our soul. But to get to the cause of the pain, we have to dig deep and look far into our past. During these visits, your guides can be of great help. Let them guide you to the answers you seek. As you go forward in healing, you'll feel a rush of energy as you accept the energy of love and life. While the work of healing can be grudging and hard, it does gain traction as you learn to look back at the wisdom of your old lives. You'll have the options to laugh and accept your old blunders and move forward, creating new thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors. Remember that you have to forgive your own transgressions and forge ahead, looking forward to helping your soul ascend and grow. It is your choice, of course. No one will make you heal, you have to make a conscious choice to accept the gifts given to you, to understand your pain and move through it. They say the time heals all wounds. When we are taking about these wounds, the healing may take lifetimes. But by recognizing pain and wounds, you are taking steps in that healing process. Hitting pain head-on can be scary. But I don't want to scare you. Working through your spiritual past can be a wonderful experience. As each issue is lifted, everything around you becomes lighter. People are drawn to you, excited by your positive energy. The law of attraction can kick in, and you can develop a sense of peace. One day, you will see yourself in the mirror and there will just be a light that wasn't there before, maybe in your eyes or your smile. It will be there, a physical manifestation of your spiritual energy. It will become a self-fulfilling cycle as you recognize the growth inside yourself and reward yourself by working to grow more. Yes, it can be scary. It is hard to give up the old, negative energy that you hold on to so tight. You might think of it as your armor or shield, but it is really your cage. What you think protects you is really holding you back. Leave the old and familiar, and expand outwards. Grow, smile, and welcome the joy. Meditations and rituals to stay connected to the Akashic records. After your first connection to the spiritual experience of the Akashic records, things do not always become easier. Spirituality is a journey. And if things have suddenly become very basic and easy to you, you might not be going far or deep enough. This is probably why many religions give a suggestion of how frequently you should pray or meditate, in addition to a suggestion for how often you should gather with like-minded individuals and work on your spiritual being. To this end, I cannot give you a map for your journey. You must develop your own path. Personally, I find that making sure I do not go more than a week without meditating is the right amount of balance for my physical and spiritual needs. I always work to leave a few hours open on the weekend to allow myself time to reflect about the old week and seek guidance for the upcoming days. The amount of time you devote to your reflect does not matter. Most people finding 20 minutes to 40 minutes to be a good amount of time for a single session, but you may only need a few minutes to do the work you need to do at that session. For those interested in working on meditation, you should focus on creating a single space, if possible, to work in. This space doesn't have to be wholly dedicated to spiritual pursuits, but it should be a place that brings you comfort and relaxation. By working in the same spot time and time again, a natural charge of energy will begin to develop. Some people choose to define the space by drawing a physical or mental circle. Others, like me, have picked the quietest section of the house and have a pillow used only for meditations. Determine when the end of your week is. For many, that is Saturday. For others, it's Sunday. For those of us who have odd schedules, it might be Wednesday. This is going to be the time when you have the least tasks to worry about and your general cycle of work is done. Now, at the end of your week, take yourself to your space. First, think about how your week has been. Reflect on both your success and failure. Note places for improvement and places where you have grown. I find it helpful to review my list for the upcoming new week to see if there are any lessons I learned recently that will apply again, or anything that I am not sure how I am going to handle. Then, depending on your ability to stay still, meditate for as long as your physical body can remain calm. Even if you aren't able to access the Akashic records, you will have worked on spiritual growth. For those more interested in prayer or perhaps work with the readings of runes or tarot cards, you should practice these rituals more often. In tarot, for example, I like to do smaller 3-card spreads nearly every day to give myself a little bit of direction. At the end of the week, I would often do a larger 13-card spread that looked towards the future and reflected on how I handled the recent past. I also enjoy pausing at natural times of change, the New Year and solstices, to look back and forward even further. Runes can be employed a similar way, doing small, quick readings daily, and larger, more complex casts when the time is right. Remember to note when you do not have answers. They do not always come so easily. This is a great time to try and access the records to gain guidance or see perhaps where your blockage lies. Prayer, being the only response here that requires no tools and little time, is often handled by folks at the end of the day, or at the beginning as well. For people who have trouble focusing mentally on an intention when accessing the Akashic records, a spoken prayer or mantra can be a very powerful tool. Try to follow these 3 things. Keep it short. The divine doesn't care if you rhyme, and sincere. A special note should be made in prayer to remind you to thank those around you and wish well upon them as well. I like to thank my guides whenever they appear, and I keep them in my weekly thoughts if a large amount of time passes between our visits. Although you may not do a full exploration of the library and your book in any of these daily or weekly rituals, your past practice of accessing them and your knowledge of their energy is enough for the book's guidance to be there for you in these times of reflection. Your book is really with you all the time. It's in the energy of your soul. By incorporating some type of meditation or rituals into your life, you are actively supporting your spiritual journey. Questions answered about the Akashic records. In my discussions with others about the Akashic records, I am often asked many questions. Even though I have been on this journey for quite a while, I certainly don't have all the answers. All of what I have tried to explain are simply my observations from my studies and practice. But I have compiled a list of the most common questions for you and my answers. Q. Is this a scam religion? Written accounts of the records go back millennia ago, so this certainly isn't some idea dreamt up recently by a scammer or just part of the New Age movement. While some people do work full-time to help others access the Akashic records, this does not make them scam artists, but more like spiritual mentors, such as pastors, priests, rabbis, or theologians. Q. Are the Akashic records only accessible to people of a certain religion? No. The records are about every single soul in existence and can be accessed by anyone, including people who do not belong to any religion. Many different religions have written about the Akashic records, but that does not give them exclusive access or any special privileges. They are available to all who seek them as a spiritual resource. Similarly, the records do not have some endorsement of a particular religion hidden in them. They are from the universe for all to use. Q. Is accessing the Akashic records dangerous? No. When you access the records, neither your spiritual nor physical aspects are in harm. You will not bring over any evil spirits or be trapped there. Accessing the records is about making the journey from self-reliance to the consciousness of the universe. You may be confused at times, but never in danger. Q. Can your records be used against you? No, they cannot. Your Akashic records are sealed from anyone who does not have your permission to access it. Remembers the light beings that are protecting the records? Q. Can the Akashic records be accessed only in certain places? What about at certain times? The records can be connected with everywhere and anywhere. You don't have to be in any place to do it, although a comfortable place is a good location to start at. Some people are able to better connect spiritually at different times, but this is a man-made law, not a divine one. It should be noted, however, that if we believe something to be true, it will be. So if you truly believe you can only access the records on a certain day or during a certain time, you will mentally stop yourself from being able to do so any other time. Likewise, beginners may find easier success at more spiritual times that are emboldened by their own beliefs. Remember, though, you must move past it or it becomes a cage. Q. Are certain parts of my journey more important than others? Not at all. One of the main purposes of the Akashic records is to give dignity to every person and situation. While certain lives may move you forward more or make you more fulfilled with spiritual energy, that does not make them more important than others. Just as each soul is wonderfully important to the divine, each of your life journeys is equally important to your soul. Q. Can I do it? Yes. There is nothing on this earth to prevent you from being able to access the records. You might not be able to do it at the moment, but that does not mean you won't ever be able to. You will be able to access the records. It may take time and practice, but one day, you will be able to. It might be for only a moment at first, but you will. Q. Is it the same for everyone? No. We all experience the spiritual energy of the world differently. Just like no two people can truly look at the same painting with the same eye, the records will appear different to everyone. Likewise, the records do not stand still. They are like a river, you can never step into the same spot twice. Even the act of observation changes the soul. Q. Are the records only given to humans? I have never understood why people think we are the only important creatures in the world. I live with two other beings, my sweet cats. Both love me, bring me joy and have wonderful personalities. They both can have good days, bad days, and are happy to learn something new. In my view, all animals have souls, and therefore, Akashic records. Conclusion: 4 years ago, I was in a bad place. Most people wouldn't believe that I was in despair and pain. I had the education, the income, the safety net of wonderful people around me, and I had all the physical trappings of success, but I cried myself to sleep every night. I was alone, lonely and fearful of the silence of the night. I couldn't go to the doctor. What could they do for a broken heart that I couldn't find a cure for? I'd like to believe that I could pull myself up by my bootstraps and make things right, but I wasn't that strong. I just couldn't pull up my big girl pants. I was truly broken. I turned to my teacher for help. To this day, my helper doesn't know exactly what she did for me when she helped me at that time. Working with her in the past, I was well on my spiritual path. In my time of need, she helped me connect to my spirit guides, and I discovered the benefits of regularly accessing my records, which helped with my healing and growth. I count myself truly lucky that her bright spiritual light helped me stop being afraid of the darkness and helped relieve the pain I saw in the mirror every morning. Connecting with myself spiritually has changed me for the better. As I've watched friends come and go in my life, it is amazing how I am often described. People say I'm the happiest person they have ever met. Maybe one day, I'll be able to tell them that is true. But for now, I can know that my practice of using the records has helped me heal. And sharing my story to you. And here is the simple truth: I have spent years blaming myself for everything that had happened to me. I had decided that the universe wanted me to suffer, and I happily constructed a cross for myself to bear. It's funny. You really can become a magnet for bad energy in the world if you decide to. What you project is what you attract. But we are not made to suffer. I truly believe that the divine universe wants each of us to be happy. And that is why we are given blessings and tools for spiritual growth, like the Akashic records. For those who say they don't have the time, you do. Think about all the things you feel you need to do, watching television, your hair, cleaning, or whatever. No one will arrest you if you don't dust this week, or if you skip an episode of that show you really don't care too much about. Take those few minutes and invest them back into yourself. Sit down and ask yourself, where is the pain in my life coming from? You've taken a big first step by reading this book, but I know many of you will still have hesitations in going forward. So here is what you can do when you finish this book. You are going to go to the mirror and you are going to look at yourself. Make real eye contact. And you are going to say as truly as you can, I love and accept myself. Do that twice a day. Each day, it will be a little easier to say those words. This can be your first tiny step in discovering your true spirit and love. This will be the first step for you in your healing of past pains, a new bright note of growth that will be recorded in your records. Just keep saying that to yourself as you begin your journey of discovery, and you will be ready to go to the records and begin the real work. Enjoy that journey.